I'm Chris, you're watching FRAG-MENTAL. It's autumn. If you're looking for cheap fragrances, I've got 5. Stay tuned. You know, I think autumn is probably my favourite season. I love the smells on a sunny autumnal day. Can't beat it. I also love the smell of the fragrances that we can wear in autumn because we can start wearing richer, deeper, more complex fragrances, and a lot of those that I own are very expensive, but I also own some excellent cheapies too. For this video, I wanted to have a decent selection of both high street and web only fragrances. So there are a couple of high street stores, the first of which I'm about to talk about is Primark. Primark, a couple of years ago, I was really impressed with. I bought Noir, which was their copy of Tom Ford's Black Orchid, which was marketed to men, and also they did one called Amber Noir, which was a beautiful, rich, very expensive smelling fragrance. My wife still wears that one, and whenever she wears it, it fills the whole house. For £5 for the 75ml bottle I spent on that, I just thought it was incredible value. I went the other day to see what Primark currently had on offer, and I've got to say, this time I wasn't so impressed. I didn't find anything in the men's section that I thought was any good. It all smelt cheap and fleeting and not very memorable at all. There were a few better ones in the women's section, one of which I'm going to talk to you about right now, but I thought I'd check the women's section because sometimes Primark can just switch gender around a little bit, so I wouldn't ever just stick to looking at the men's fragrances if you go into Primark, because sometimes the women's fragrances can have some really good ones that men can wear. So the one I'm going to talk about in this video is called PS Love Black Oud. In this one there's orange flower, dark orchid, amber and patchouli. So I felt that this was about the best that was on offer, and it smells pretty good actually. It smells quite rich and smooth and velvety. It's a little bit floral. It smells better than what you would expect a fragrance of this price to cost. I paid £3.50 for 50ml. Personally for me, leans a little more feminine. I'm sure there are some guys out there that could wear it, but it's a little too feminine for me. This would work great for your wife or your girlfriend if you just wanted to pick up something cheap. If you could only stretch £3.50 to buy a fragrance, then this would definitely be a good option. I would say the performance on this is average, not amazing, but not really bad, just somewhere in the middle. So yes, I'm glad I just explained to you what average means. But you know, it's got notes in here that would work pretty well in the autumn, and for the price, not bad at all. Okay, the next one is Next. Now, I went into the Next store that we have here in the UK, and they have a reasonable selection of fragrances. Actually, I think a lot of them are smell-alikes. A lot of them are based on well-known designer fragrances. I'm not quite sure if this one is the one I'm about to talk about, because if it is, it's something that I'm not familiar with. And they didn't have any testers out because of the whole COVID situation, so this one was a blind buy, and I purchased this based on the notes. So based on the notes of the fragrance, this is the one that I feel should be the most appropriate for autumnal wear. I do believe it's a new release at Next, so you might not have checked this one out yet. It's called Signature Gold. The notes are lemon, orange, cardamom, praline, patchouli and amber. I quite enjoy this one. I'm happy with my blind buy purchase. So mainly I get an orange accord, which seems to be the most dominant thing in this fragrance, and it's kind of mixed with this sweet creamy nuttiness, which is what I'm guessing is the praline accord. And there's also some spices in here, so all notes that work really well in the autumn. It's got a richness to it, it's quite full-bodied, it's got a nice density that again I think works well in the cooler temperatures of autumn. But it's got also, because of the orange and there's some lemon in here, it's got this brightness, it's got a bit of airy freshness to it, which I think balanced with the richer notes make it quite a versatile fragrance. So I think this would be a fantastic, cheap, easy day scent, or maybe work scent. So the cost of this, this is just a 30ml, but I paid £10 for this, and it wasn't the cheapest way of doing it because they also had a 100ml bottle with a shower gel in the same package, and that was only £16. So obviously that would have been the much better purchase, but I would never have used the shower gel and I would never have used 100ml of the juice, so I just went for a slightly cheaper option. So this was £10, but if you do like this one, I would recommend just upgrading to the 100ml bottle. So overall, decent pickup, much better than its price suggests.
Join the Scent Geeks every Monday as we podcast about all things fragrance. You'll find us anywhere you can usually find a podcast. Links are in the description below this video. See you there, geeks.
Okay, now the next three are all absolute bangers. I love these fragrances. I just couldn't really decide which one I love the most, so I love all three of these equally, and they're all about the same price. They're all around about the £10 mark, so all really cheap. This one is one that if you've seen any of my other videos I've talked about before, it often pops up in some of my cheapie lists because it's absolutely one of my favourite fragrances, full stop. From Ardal Zaafaran, it's Oud 24 Hours. This one smells very similar to Tom Ford's Black Orchid, which is marketed to women, but this one is marketed to men, much like Primark did with their version of Black Orchid. They marketed that one to men, so I guess that just says that a lot of people think this is a unisex fragrance, me included. The smell of this is just phenomenal when you think about the price. This costs just £10. Your best bet for finding this one is probably on eBay. I'm sure you'll find it somewhere between £10 and £13 with free delivery. So you get that Black Orchid DNA, but it's maybe not quite as earthy. You get that smooth, floral, fruity, chocolate heaven. Make sure you like Black Orchid before you purchase this. Although, £10, if you buy this and you don't like it, I'm sure your wife or your girlfriend would be very happy with this, and I'm sure you'd be very happy smelling it on her. Presentation as well is pretty decent for the price you pay. It's a heavy bottle. It doesn't feel cheap or plasticky at all. It actually feels quality. Incredible cheapie, incredible price. Probably one of the best cheapies that I own. We're going to Zara next for their new release, which is called Warm Black. In this, Zara lists coriander, ginger, Balkan tobacco absolute, saffron, vanilla, tonka, amyris, cistus absolute, cypriol and java wood. As with Zara's other tobacco releases, which are amongst the best ones I think that they do, this is another great fragrance. It's smooth, sweet, spicy. It's got a little bit of that Tom Ford tobacco vanille style DNA going on. It's not quite the same. It's not as loud as that fragrance. It's a little more toned down. Actually, someone on my social media commented that they thought this reminded them of Faden's Tabac Rouge. I have that one and I've tried them side by side, and it does have more of a similarity to this one than it does to Tobacco Vanille, but this in turn does smell like Tobacco Vanille. So I guess you could say it's a toned down version of that fragrance. I'd say it's maybe not quite as smooth as the Faden, and I think the honey is stronger on this, so I think this is a little smoother, a little sweeter, but this probably isn't quite as smooth because it's got a bit of extra spice. I think the ginger in here is probably making this one just smell a little spicier than this one. When it comes to Zara fragrances, of course, we want to know about the performance. Performance is okay on this. I get 6 to 7 hours, a couple of hours of decent projection. I get really nice wafts throughout the life of this fragrance, and it's a smooth blend. It is a really nicely done fragrance. Really good for autumn. £10 for 100ml, definitely worth your consideration. The last one I've been meaning to buy for ages now, and finally I've plucked up the courage to pull the trigger on this £10 fragrance. From Lattafa Perfumes, it's Raghba Wood Intense. Notes are cedar, gaiac wood, licorice, caramel, oud, sugar, cashmere wood, musk, amber, vanilla, oak moss and incense. Wow, what a note list. This is just so good. It's rich, warm, sweet. It's got this balsamic quality. It reminds me of old church pews, which is a fond memory I have from my childhood. That is definitely a very positive association. It just smells like it's somehow very old and natural, which it can't be at this price. I'm guessing it's pretty much all synthetic. So what they've managed to create here for the cost is just pretty mind-blowing. Also, it reminds me of chewing treacle toffee. I think maybe the licorice in here is making me think about that. So I get some lovely associations. It is obviously very, very woody. There's a lot of wood in this fragrance. If you don't like intense woods, it might be a little bit too much for you. But I think the sweeter notes in here just balance everything out, adds a little bit of a gourmand edge, which just stop the fragrance from becoming too overwhelmingly woody, because it might just become a little bit too challenging. But I don't think it is at all. I think they got the balance just right. It is quite a statement making fragrance, but very wearable at the same time. I think in the autumn months, probably dressed up quite formally. I just think this is fantastic. I don't normally talk about presentation when it comes to cheapies because there's not usually a lot to talk about, but this is an exception. Look at this box. I have seen niche fragrances that cost hundreds of pounds that don't have as nice presentation as this. Some fantastic detailing on the box. The box looks like it cost more than £10, never mind the box and the fragrance. So the presentation here, I know it's not the main thing, I know it's the juice that counts, but it just is great when you spend so little money on a fragrance and you do get a really good presentation. There's even nice detailing on the inside of the box here. Just incredible presentation for the price that you pay. The bottle itself is very heavy. There's some nice detailing on the side. There's kind of some wood detailing on the side and the cap. And again, the cap doesn't feel cheap and plasticky, which is sometimes what lets a nice bottle down at this price point. So to be honest, I don't really know how Lattafa are creating this fragrance with its presentation and, you know, bearing in mind how good the scent smells. I don't know how they're doing it for so little money. I paid £10.99 for this. I bought it from eBay. That included the delivery. I think we're quite lucky here in the UK because in the US it is a bit more expensive. I think it's around 3 times more expensive. Ashton did a video where he said that he bought this one for $30, around about there. Even for $30, you know, you're still getting 100ml of a fantastic fragrance. So it's still definitely worth it for $30. Still incredible value for money. But yeah, here in the UK, we can get it cheaper. So hey, lucky us. This is an absolutely stunning autumn fragrance. I don't recommend blind buying ever, but at £10.99 for such a great fragrance, it's got to be one of the safest blind buys, but I didn't tell you that. So there you go, 5 cheap autumn fragrances. If you're looking to grow your autumn collection of fragrances, then these are all worth checking out. I would absolutely say try to check out the last 3 that I talked about because the value on them is just, well, it's mind-blowing. Can't believe it. Let me know what your favourite autumn cheapies are. I'm sure there's many more fragrances out there that are worth smelling that don't cost very much at all. So I really enjoyed doing this video. I have some very expensive fragrances, but I love taking it right back down to finding good, cheap fragrances because it does sometimes make you question the prices that some brands are charging when you can get fragrances as good as these for such a low amount. But that is the industry, that is what happens, and it's never going to change. But if we can just get a few of those cheapies, then good for us as consumers, isn't it? So there you go, that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, keep tuning into FM, keep smelling good, and I'll see you in the next video.